Hi, my name is Elias Garcia, and for today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating the into SDAIE strategy of carousel brainstorming. This SDAIE into activity of carousel brainstorming meets the ELD collaboration standard. This is done by interacting in meaningful ways. Some of the ELD or Common Core State standards that are met in this activity are the literacy standards. Students will be actively listening, reading, writing, and speaking the English language. How they're going to do this is they're going to have to comprehend and evaluate text that they find during the brainstorming activity. They're going to have to discern key points that the teacher makes. They're going to have to build on ideas that other students make while brainstorming. And they're also finally going to have to articulate what they've learned at the end of the lesson. The lesson is going to focus on ways that can raise your heart rate. It's a PE lesson slash health lesson. So I'm going to ask students to brainstorm together in small groups to come up with ways that can raise your heart. We're talking about activities or sports. So students will use technology like a computer or a laptop to search for ideas that can raise your heart rate. Once they find enough ideas they feel are suitable, they're going to write down the ideas they have. I'm going to give students materials that say ways to raise your heart rate. Students together in their pairs will write down the ideas that they find. And they're also going to brainstorm on what can happen if it's too hot during an activity. Again, students will individually write what they've learned. So together they'll brainstorm together, and then they're going to have to individually write themselves the activity they're going to choose. So how they're going to do that too is with different colored pens. They're going to write their individual idea on here. So if one student says, I think football is a way to raise your heart rate, they're going to write football in the color that I give them. Finally, it will look like this. You'll have 4 different colors representing each of the students' thoughts or the results they found in their research. And then I'll also use a rephrase activity during the lesson. I'll ask students, hey, what can happen if it's too hot during an activity? The student will rephrase what I just said to them, and they will say, dehydration can happen if it's too hot during an activity. Or off the first one we talked about ways to raise heart rate, I'll ask, what's a way to raise your heart rate? They'll repeat the phrase and also include their answer. Football is a way to raise your heart rate. Soccer is a way to raise your heart rate. This will be a way for me to check for understanding. It also helps them articulate their own thoughts on the paper as well as verbally. I'll be roaming around during the lesson to help facilitate and answer any questions students have. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the lesson.
Good morning, class. Thanks for meeting me here today. I know it's 103 degrees outside, so we can't have PE outside, but we're going to utilize this time to have a health lesson today. Now, we've been going over cardiovascular activities in class for PE. Audrey, can you put your phone away, please? This is a serious lesson right now. Going over cardiovascular health, why our heart beats fast. Mariah, you paying attention? Thank you. All right, guys, like I said, we're going to utilize this time to use what's called a carousel brainstorm activity. Each of us is going to have time to express why we feel a certain activity or sport raises our heart rate. All right, to demonstrate what you guys are going to be doing in this brainstorm activity, we're going to get our tablet or our computer to type in things to give us ideas for what raises your heart rate. So students are going to type in things like raising your heart rate. Then scroll down, find a good website that can help you out. This looks like a good one. 5 cardio exercises to increase the heart rate. We'll click on that one. Gives us some ideas, and right there, we have some ideas that can help us out, that can raise our heart rate and put down for our answer. Then once I have an answer, I can put down something that I think will help raise my heart rate. I'm going to put down jumping jacks. All right, now you guys are ready to begin. So I'm going to start passing out your materials. Each of you is going to get a certain colored marker so we know who wrote what, okay? Now, I have here, okay, ways to raise your heart rate, okay? We're going to use this together. I'll put it here in the middle. Now, I'm glad you guys brought out your tablets and your computers. We're going to use that so we can look up things to help us brainstorm. Brian, did you hear what I said?
No, I didn't get the memo. We were supposed to bring in laptops, so.
It's okay. You guys can share. Jason, are you okay sharing with Joseph?
Of course.
Okay. So again, you guys are going to look up ways on your computer. This is a timed assignment, okay? We're only going to brainstorm for about 4 minutes. So you have about 2 minutes to look up some activities that raise your heart, and then you have 2 minutes to write them down.
So what your ideas? Football. Oh, football. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not football. That's soccer. What do we call it? Soccer.
Football.
It's soccer. It's SOCCER. We call it soccer here.
Oh.
Football. It's soccer.
All right, guys, you guys got about 2 minutes left, so let's start getting some ideas on paper. Jason, you want to start, and then start passing it around. Great job, Joseph. You're coming a long way.
Gracias.
Great job, guys. Okay, now we're going to do a thing called repeat the phrase, okay? We're going to add this into the brainstorming activity. We're going to go around and share our answers that we put down for a way to raise our heart, okay? How we're going to answer it, though, is I'm going to ask you what's a way to raise our heart. You're going to repeat by saying, this activity is a way to raise my heart, okay? Beginning with Jason. What's a way to raise your heart, Jason?
Football is a way to raise my heart.
Awesome. Joseph, you want to read your activity? What's a way to raise your heart?
Soccer is a way to raise my heart.
Awesome. Mariah, what's a way to raise your heart rate?
Tennis.
You want to say the whole saying for us,
Oh,
please?
tennis is a way to raise your heart.
Awesome. And Audrey?
Baseball is a way to raise your heart rate.
Awesome. Now we're going to brainstorm on what can happen if it's too hot during an activity.
Like, como se dice when you're tired and thirsty?
Dehydration.
Huh.
All right, guys, you guys did a great job getting ideas down again. All right, now we're going to go around and we're going to talk about, in our own words, what we put down and why we put them down. All right, so Jason, I noticed for ways that can happen, what can happen if it's too hot during an activity, what did you put down?
I put during football, if it gets too hot, it can lead to faint.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Joseph, what can happen if it's too hot during an activity? What did you put down?
I put dehydrate.
Talk about dehydration?
Dehydration.
Yeah, so dehydration can happen if it's too hot, right?
Yes.
Okay.